And by the way, if there are any 7th grade teachers here, you guys are the exceptions, present company accepted, of course. But in American history, one thing you do notice, though, like in the 19th century, is that monetary issues were actually discussed by the general public. People actually thought they were entitled to an opinion on these questions. And people wrote pamphlets feverishly about gold and silver and greenbacks and whatever. Now, some of the things they wrote were brilliant. Some of the things they wrote were crankish. But at least they wrote about it. At least they talked about it. At least it was on the table. But starting in 1913, we've been told, at least implicitly, that really we peons really aren't entitled to an opinion on subjects like this, that we really need to leave to the experts. We can't really, because the experts know how many trillions of dollars they need to create, and who are we to ask a question about that, or where those trillions of dollars are going? Citizen, leave this to the experts. This is not for you to decide. So all these things, all these sorts of issues are just off the table in our history, but also in our present. So, for example, you turn on the TV news, you turn on the cable news channels, and what do you have? You have one set of drones debating with another set of drones about, let's see, should the government take half your income this way, or should it do it more efficiently that way? That's the discussion. Should the Supreme Court tell all American neighborhoods to do this or that? Do you notice there's an option that's excluded from this? I mean, no, not even mentioned. You're not allowed to mention that. We've decided what the terms of the debate are, citizen. Or how about this? Foreign policy. Here are the big choices. One set of drones says we should bomb that third world country, and the other set says we should just starve them to death. That's the debate. Well, again, I think we're excluding some possibilities. And in comes Ron Paul and says, oh, by the way, you could do neither one of those things. By the way, you could have sound money. And now that he has said those things, they can never be unsaid. This toothpaste is not going back into the tube. And what I love in particular about H.R. 1207 to audit the Fed is that the Fed, above all, is the consummate issue you are not supposed to discuss. It is off the table. The experts are there. You are not supposed to mention it. And all the politicians get right in line over the years, all these election years since the Fed was created. We not a peep from any of them about it. They've all gone by the rules. The rules say don't ever mention the Fed. Not only are we mentioning it, we've got now 179 co-sponsors on a bill to say, we're not just going to mention it, we're going to start poking around here and see what you've been up to. So the beauty is, instead of letting these creeps at the New York Times and CNBC decide the terms of debate, we are setting the terms of the debate. They have to answer us for a change. And so we are blasting open questions that they thought had been closed forever. They're busy trying to go on to the next socializing of some part of the economy, and now they're going to turn around and answer something about the Fed. Wasn't that debate closed years ago? And we've blasted it open. And that's what the Campaign for Liberty and this whole freedom movement is taking this crummy debate that we've been given, where the common sense, humane solutions are systematically excluded, and we are taking a bazooka to this whole crummy edifice. Now, it's possible that the powers that be may think that this whole interest in the Fed is just a flash in the pan. But if they think so, they don't know us very well. Because if you watch that Ron Paul campaign, I mean, some of you people have talents I didn't even know existed, okay? This is a group that I would not want to mess with, because once we get hold of an issue, we tend not to let go. So this thing, which has been off the table forever, is now going to be on the table forever. It is not going away till we shut it down. Now, some good things have been happening. For example, my friend Bob Murphy, Robert P. Murphy, was an excellent economist. And these days, that's almost an oxymoron, excellent economist. What this? They've all totally disgraced themselves during this crisis, in my opinion. They've got all these sophisticated models, but when push comes to shove, it's all just, I don't know, spend, I don't know, and then if that doesn't work, just keep trying it over again, I don't know. And if that doesn't work, print up some more. I mean, that's it. That's all they're running around like chickens with their heads cut off, so they have disgraced the whole profession. So that is now creating a void for the normal people to walk into. The sound, sophisticated economists who are so sophisticated, they understand that you don't create extra wealth by printing green pieces of paper. Ain't that amazing? The geniuses we have, but in fact, we do have real, genuine geniuses on our side. Any of our people can debate any of their people with, half their brains tied behind their backs, as Rush would say. But Bob took this opportunity where people now are listening on issues about the economy. They're not listening when they're flipping houses and making 50 grand in a week. Nobody's listening to, wait a minute, I think this boom is unsustainable. Yeah, why don't you go jump in a lake, buddy? I'm making a fortune. No one wants to listen. Now they're listening. So Bob has risen to the occasion, and he wrote a fantastic book that I urge you to read, because I know we've all read books on FDR, and we sort of feel like we know about the New Deal, but in terms of the Austrian School of Economics and sound money, the best book on this, after Murray Rothbard's book, America's Great Depression, is Bob Murphy's new book, The Politically Incorrect Guide to the Great Depression and the New Deal, because this book is sound on the Fed. A lot of times you get people who are critical of FDR, but they're kind of mushy on the Fed, that they think the Fed's problem was it didn't inflate enough. No, that's not the Fed. That's never the Fed's problem. Believe me, that is never the problem. So Bob has done an absolutely masterful job with this, and again, risen to the occasion, because now we've got the American population listening, so he wrote very quickly and turned this thing around, and it's an absolute masterpiece, and it's wonderful. Now, my own book, Meltdown, has had some success because it was, New York Times bestseller, and it's just wonderful, 10 weeks, forward by Ron Paul. What more could you ask for? But interesting, the New York Times will not review it. They have refused to review it. But you know what? I don't even care. Because have you been reading the news? The New York Times is going down, and we are going up. But the reason I did this book was, again, people are listening. So now we have this window of opportunity. I was about to say a brief window of opportunity. I don't know how long this depression is going on, but it probably won't be that brief a window, unfortunately. But all the same, a window of opportunity once we have people's attention to say, wait a minute, what the propagandists are telling you is wrong. What they're telling you is the exact opposite of the truth, and everything they recommend will make things worse, is the opposite of what needs to be done. And so I wanted to get this word out quickly, and I'm very glad that I've been able to spread the word. People have been going out and buying it, and people have asked me, what's your next book going to be? And I don't actually know what my next project is, because my problem is I write a book and then I get onto some other project so quickly, I never have time to promote the previous one adequately. So this one I'm probably going to be just promoting until people are just committing atrocities against me. They're just tired of hearing about this thing. So those are my current activities. I've been writing a lot of articles as follow-ups on it, explaining why fiscal stimulus doesn't work, why monetary stimulus doesn't work, why Obama's economic philosophy is all screwed up. This is all stuff that you can find at LouRockwell.com under my article archive. But now, there is, however, the great exclamation mark book coming up later this year. Now, I have not seen the manuscript for this book, but I have it on pretty good authority. This guy knows what he's talking about. And that's Ron Paul's book, End the Fed, coming in September. And again, we are so not supposed to be doing this, and yet we're doing it anyway. And so as I say, I haven't read it, but I understand, having talked to Dr. Paul about it, that it's sort of his recollections over the years and years of being a congressman, of his own experiences with Fed chairman, his own political concerns about the Fed. It's all in there. And it's got a cute little cover, in case some of you have seen it. You can already order